What's up, Packer fans? Welcome back to Cheesehead Talk. It's your boy Tramel, coming back with another video. I've been gone for a very long time, and I sincerely apologize. I have an internship where I pretty much travel almost every single weekend, and I just haven't found the time to do videos consistently. But I'm back. We're back with another video, and in this video, I'm going to give my 2019 regular season awards for the Green Bay Packers. Right now, the Green Bay Packers finished the 2019 regular season with a record of 13-3. They have the number 2 seed in the NFC, and they have a first round bye. And if you would have told me in the offseason that the Packers were going to go 13-3 and sweep the NFC North, I wouldn't have believed you. I did a prediction video way back in July, and I predicted that the Packers would go 11-5, and I had their division record at 4-2. But the Packers exceeded expectations from a lot of people this year, and it's been a great ride in the 2019 regular season, and hopefully the Packers can finish it off in the playoffs and host that Lombardi Trophy in February. Now let's get to these awards, and let's start with the negatives first. We have our most disappointing Green Bay Packer of the 2019 regular season. And we have a co-MVP for this award. We have two guys who won this award. And those guys are Geronimo Allison and Marquez Valdes-Scantling. And let's start with Marquez Valdes-Scantling first. Coming into the 2019 season, I thought that Marquez Valdes-Scantling would be the Green Bay Packers' number 2 receiver. And I thought he would have a breakout year. I predicted back in August that Valdes-Scantling would have 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns, and I said that he would possibly be a Pro Bowler. And boy, was I wrong. I wasn't even close. Valdes-Scantling finished the 2019 regular season with 26 catches, 452 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a catch percentage of 46%. That's terrible. I mean, Valdes-Scantling has been horrible this year. And like I said, I thought he was going to be wide receiver number 2. He started the season out as wide receiver number 2. But as the season went on, he slid down and down the depth chart. And there were some games where he barely even saw some snaps. And it's just been a bad year for Marquez Valdes-Scantling. He struggles with drops. He struggles to create separation. And due to his lack of separation, he faces a lot of passes that are being contested. And most of the time, he's not catching those passes. Like I said, he has a 46% catch percentage. And then there have also been times where he's not in the right spot that he's supposed to be in. He and Aaron Rodgers have a lot of miscommunication, and he's really struggled this year. And he could possibly be cut going into the 2020 season if he doesn't show any improvement. But it's really been a disappointing year for Marquez Valdes-Scantling. And then the same for Geronimo Allison. You look at him. He's been disappointing. You take a look at his stats for 2019. He had 34 catches for 287 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I saw a tweet that said he has a strong case for being the NFL's worst wide receiver in 2019. He finished second to last in yards per target among wide receivers with 50 targets. And coming into the 2019 season, I thought that he would compete with Valdes-Scantling for that wide receiver number 2 position. And starting the year, he started out as the Packers' number 3 receiver. And now I just think he doesn't need to see the field at all unless it's a running play, because he is a good blocker. But other than that, he's been terrible. He drops a lot of passes. He doesn't create separation. And not only does he drop passes and not create separation, he fumbles the football. He's always catching short passes, and he tries to fight for extra yards, and he does not protect the football when he does it, and he consistently fumbles the football, and it's so frustrating. Geronimo Allison and Marquez Valdes-Scantling have definitely been the most disappointing Packers of the 2019 regular season, and they're in jeopardy of not returning to this Packers roster in 2020. I know for sure that Geronimo Allison will not be a part of the Green Bay Packers in 2020. And Marquez Valdes-Scantling might get another chance because he's still young. This will only be his third season next year, but he's going to have to show some improvement going into the 2020 season if he wants to stay on this roster, because the Packers are definitely going to make some moves in the draft and possibly in free agency for wide receivers. Those two guys share the co-MVP for the most disappointing Green Bay Packer of 2019. And the honorable mention for this award was Jimmy Graham. He was the runner-up for this award. Jimmy Graham has been terrible in 2019 as well. And the reason why he didn't win this award was because I really didn't have any expectations for him coming into the 2019 season. He was terrible in 2018, and I didn't expect anything to change at all. I didn't want to get my hopes up, even though we got a new head coach, new offensive system, and a new offensive coordinator. I didn't want to get my hopes up with Jimmy Graham. I pretty much expected the same thing, and it probably got even worse with Jimmy Graham. And this is his last season as a Green Bay Packer. They're going to move on from him in the 2020 offseason. Now, let's start with the positive awards, and we'll start with the 2019 Rookie of the Year for the Green Bay Packers, and that is the second-round pick, Elgton Jenkins. Not only is he my Green Bay Packers Rookie of the Year, I think he should be the NFL's Rookie of the Year. And you take a look at some of his competition for that award: A.J. Brown of the Tennessee Titans, Josh Jacobs of the Oakland Raiders. Those guys have had very good seasons. And Josh Jacobs, he started off hot, but he cooled down at the end of the season. And then A.J. Brown, he's been inconsistent. But those guys have had very good rookie seasons. But I think Elgton Jenkins has been the most consistent out of every single rookie this season. Elgton Jenkins was a huge addition to the Green Bay Packers in 2019. And he's a guy who can play every single position on that offensive line. He played every position in college. And the Packers put him at the guard position when Lane Taylor suffered a season-ending injury and was placed on injured reserve. And before that happened, I was saying Elgton Jenkins needs to start. Elgton Jenkins is the better player, and Lane Taylor is just not that guy. And the Green Bay Packers are going to move on from Lane Taylor after this season, because Elgton Jenkins has been phenomenal for the Packers. He is a huge upgrade over Lane Taylor, and I've been saying that since week 1. And Elgton Jenkins has been phenomenal in the run game for the Packers. He's also been even better in the pass protection game for the Packers. He's played 571 snaps, and he has not allowed one sack. Not one sack in 571 snaps. That's just absolutely ridiculous. He's had an amazing season, and he's had an all-pro type season. He should get some recognition for all-pro. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes the team. He's been excellent for the Packers, and he's been our best draft pick in 2019. So the Green Bay Packers Rookie of the Year award goes to Elgton Jenkins. Moving on to the Defensive Player of the Year award for the Green Bay Packers in 2019. That award goes to Zadarius Smith. Zadarius Smith has been a huge pickup for the Green Bay Packers. He's definitely been our number one free agent signing in 2019. And if he continues to do what he did this season throughout his contract, he can go down as a top 3 free agent signing in Green Bay Packers history, right behind Reggie White and right behind Charles Woodson. It's hard for me to put him above Charles Woodson because Charles Woodson won a Defensive Player of the Year award. Now, if Zadarius Smith can do that, he can finish number 2. He can't finish number 1 because I don't see anybody surpassing Reggie White. Reggie White is arguably the best defensive player in NFL history and arguably the best player in NFL history. But Zadarius Smith has really come in and he's changed this culture a lot. This locker room is different. The defense is having fun. They're celebrating. They have their own celebration dance, the D-Train dance. Zadarius Smith, he's coming in. He's giving us sack dances, sack celebrations. And the locker room is different. They're having fun on and off the field. They're bonding. And it's just different from previous years. Previous years, it was just bland and boring. And Zadarius Smith has really changed that in Green Bay. This is a totally different team now. And I love everything he's done on and off the field. And you take a look at what he did on the field this season. He finished 2019 with 13 and a half sacks, 55 tackles, 17 tackles for a loss, 37 quarterback hits, and a pressure rate of 18%, which led the entire NFL. And he's the only player in the NFL this season to have over 90 pressures. And he's also the third player in NFL history who's recorded 13 sacks, 35 quarterback hits, and 17 tackles for a loss. The other two guys are J.J. Watt and Aaron Donald, and that's certainly some great company to be associated with. Those are some all-time great players right there. Not only is he the Green Bay Packers 2019 Defensive MVP, he could possibly be Defensive MVP of the NFL. And before the season started, I have a friend who's a Baltimore Ravens fan. And when Zadarius Smith left Baltimore and signed with the Packers, he told me, if Zadarius Smith is your number one pass rusher, your pass rush is in trouble. He said that Zadarius Smith cannot be that number one guy. He told me that Zadarius Smith would finish 2019 with 5.5 sacks. And boy, was he wrong. And I know you're watching this, Blaze. You were wrong. I told you Zadarius Smith was going to have double-digit sacks. I told you in the middle of the season, and you still doubted him. You still said he was going to finish with single-digit sacks. And it took you all the way to week 10 to give him his props and to say that you were wrong. And now Zadarius Smith is going to be an all-pro in 2019, 2020. He's had an amazing season. And like I said, he's the Packers' number one free agent pickup in 2019. And in my opinion, he was the number one free agent in 2019. So Zadarius Smith is your Green Bay Packers 2019 Defensive MVP. Moving on to the Green Bay Packers 2019 Offensive Player of the Year. That award goes to Aaron Jones, aka Showtime. Not only is Aaron Jones the Green Bay Packers 2019 Offensive Player of the Year, but he's also the Green Bay Packers 2019 MVP. He's had a phenomenal year in 2019, and on all the primetime games that the Packers played, he really showed that he's a star running back. He's definitely a top 10 running back in this league. And he finished the season with 1,084 rushing yards, 16 touchdowns, which was tied for first place, and 474 receiving yards and 3 receiving touchdowns. And he tied for first in total touchdowns with 19. The Green Bay Packers are going to go as far as Aaron Jones takes them. He's definitely the Packers' most valuable player right now, and he's had a phenomenal year. And when he touches the ball at least 20 times, great things happen. And this is why Packer fans were so frustrated last year with Mike McCarthy. He did not give Aaron Jones touches, and Matt LaFleur has done an excellent job with being consistent with the run game and making sure that Aaron Jones gets his touches. Like I said, when he's touching the ball at least 20 times, the Packers are winning. When he's running the football well, the Packers are winning. When he gets involved in the receiving game, 9 times out of 10, the Packers are going to win. And he's the key for us in the playoffs. We're going to need him big time. Aaron Jones is your Green Bay Packers 2019 Offensive Player of the Year and 2019 Green Bay Packers MVP. But before I end this video, I want to talk about the Green Bay Packers General Manager, Brian Gutekunst, and why he should be the NFL's Executive of the Year for 2019. This is his second year in Green Bay, and you take a look at what he did in free agency in 2019. He signed safety Adrian Amos to a 4-year, $37 million contract. Adrian Amos has been very good for the Packers. He's been very solid. He's a huge upgrade of what they had at the safety position in 2018. He's a huge upgrade over HaHa Clinton-Dix. He's a huge upgrade over Kentrell Brice, who was terrible He's a huge upgrade over Jermaine Whitehead, who was also terrible. And he's been a good tackler. He's been good in coverage. And he also has a few interceptions. And he's been very solid for the Packers this season. Another guy on that defense, Preston Smith, a huge pickup for the Packers. Goot signed him to a 4-year, $52 million contract. And just like Adrian Amos, he's been worth every single penny this season. Preston Smith finished the year with 12.5 sacks, 56 tackles, 11 tackles for a loss, and 23 quarterback hits. He's another guy who's come in and changed this Green Bay Packers culture on the defensive side of the football. And then another guy on that defense for the Packers, as I mentioned earlier, Zadarius Smith, the Green Bay Packers defensive MVP. Man, worth every single penny. And then on that offensive line, Billy Turner, who's come in at the right guard position. He's been a bigger upgrade at that position over Justin McCray and Byron Bell, who were both horrible in 2018. The Packers had one of the worst offensive lines in 2018, and it was mainly because of Lane Taylor at the left guard position and Justin McCray and Byron Bell when they both played that right guard position. And we addressed that hole with Billy Turner, and he's been pretty solid for the Green Bay Packers. He hasn't been great, but he's been good, and it's definitely an upgrade of what they had in 2018. He also hired head coach Matt LaFleur, who is the first head coach in Green Bay Packers history to have over 10 wins in his first season as the head coach. And then you take a look at what he did in the 2019 draft. His first pick, Rashawn Gary. It was a questionable pick at first, and a lot of people were saying that Rashawn Gary is a bust in the middle of the season. But as the season came to an end, Rashawn Gary is really coming to his own. He's getting pressure on the quarterbacks. He's getting some tackles. He's getting quarterback hits. He's stopping a run on a few plays. And we just got to give him some time to develop. But Rashawn Gary is coming into his own, and he's going to be a good player if he can put everything together. And then you look at his second pick in the first round, Darnell Savage. As I mentioned earlier, safety was a big need coming into the 2019 season, and Darnell Savage is a big upgrade of what they had at the safety position. He and Adrian Amos have really upgraded this secondary. And then you look at his second round pick, the third pick in the draft for the Packers, Elgton Jenkins. As I mentioned, he's the Green Bay Packers Rookie of the Year. And you can make a case and say he's the NFL's Rookie of the Year. Elgton Jenkins has been excellent. I mentioned that early in the video. So he's had a lot of success in free agency and in the draft. And because of these moves, the Green Bay Packers went from a 6-9-1 team in 2018 to a 13-3 team in 2019 with the first round bye and the number 2 seed in the NFC playoffs. That is why I believe Brian Gutekunst should win the NFL Executive of the Year in 2019. But those are my season awards for the Green Bay Packers 2019 regular season. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and also follow the social media on Twitter at Cheesehead_talk. Again, that's Cheesehead_talk. Go Pack, go!